Imagine being 39,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean in total darkness. Suddenly, the engines go silent. No humming, no power, just the sound of the wind. This isn't a nightmare. This was the reality for 306 people on August 24, 2001. Air Transat Flight 236 was about to attempt something never done before in aviation history: a powerless glide across the ocean. Today, we uncover the chain of fatal errors and the heroic landing that saved everyone on board. The disaster didn't start in the air. It started on the ground 9 days earlier. A maintenance team replaced a right engine with an older model. There was a tiny problem. The fuel and hydraulic lines didn't fit perfectly. Instead of checking the manual, the mechanics took a shortcut. Two metal tubes that should never touch were now rubbing against each other with every vibration. For several flights, it was a ticking time bomb. On the night of the flight, those tubes finally snapped. The fuel began pouring into the Atlantic at a rate of 13 metric tons per hour. Captain Robert Piché and co-pilot Dirk de Jager noticed a fuel imbalance, but they didn't suspect a leak. Why? Because the Airbus A330 at the time didn't have a direct leak sensor. They made a critical mistake. They followed the imbalance procedure from memory instead of the leak checklist. By opening the cross-feed valve, they fed the remaining fuel directly into the leak. At 6:13 a.m., the right engine died. 13 minutes later, the left engine went silent. The 200-ton jet was now a giant glider, 100 miles away from the nearest runway in the Azores. For 19 agonizing minutes, the plane glided. The cabin was pitch black. The only power came from the rat, a small wind turbine that deployed from the belly of the plane. Passengers were told to prepare for a ditching, a crash landing in the freezing dark waters of the Atlantic. Survival chances were near zero. But Captain Piché was no ordinary pilot. He had experience flying small planes in the wilderness without runways. He aimed for Lajes Air Base, knowing he only had one shot. No engines meant no go-round. At 6:45 a.m., Flight 236 hit the runway at 200 knots way, faster than a normal landing. Tires exploded, sparks flew, and a small fire broke out. But the plane stopped. All 306 people survived. It remains the longest powerless glide in commercial aviation history. A story of human error, but also of incredible skill. For more stories of survival and tech, subscribe to AetherGlip.